Okay. Today, I really am an angry old white man. I was just watching Dr. Rashad Ritchie, the report he had about a woman going through a mental health crisis. And the police had her on the ground and they were punching her. She was going through a mental health crisis. I mean, I worked for 11 years in a private psychiatric hospital. I worked with people who were out of control, who were having mental health crises. We were taught how to deal with them. When they hit you, you didn't hit back. If they struggled, there were means of restraining them physically. You didn't have to hurt them. You didn't have to hit them. I got bit. I got punched. I got slapped. I had to tackle people who were out of control. One time I was unfortunately in the middle between two schizophrenics who were throwing punches at each other. Currently, police officers in this country, I don't know about the rest of the world, I just know about this country. Police officers in this country are not properly trained on how to deal with people who are having mental health problems. That's not their bailiwick. That is for psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers. You know, they said in the report I saw that there was a person there who could have done the talking to, but the person in crisis didn't want to talk to them. So the police took her to the ground. They started punching. A helpless woman. Look, you're a cop. You got a firearm, you got a taser, probably got a billy club, you got handcuffs. So this is an individual who is not having a good day. There's probably an internal conflict going on. It has nothing to do with out here. It has nothing to do with you or anybody else. Well, it may have something to do with it, but it has nothing to do with you as the police officer being there to the best thing in that kind of situation for a police officer is to be there to mediate, to make sure that if the person gets out of control physically, they can be restrained. We were taught non-violent restraints, ways to come back when people hit you, to block their hit, to control them so they didn't hit anybody else, they didn't hit you again, they didn't hurt themselves. You know, there needs to be some significant changes in the way police departments deal with this stuff. It's not. Oh my God. There was one in Arkansas, some poor guy, I don't know what was going on with him, but they showed the video. He was on the ground. They had like 3 cops on him, and they just kept punching and kicking him. And somebody got a video of it, which is good. Those officers have been suspended. The poor man is out of the hospital. This woman that I saw Dr. Ritchie talking about today, she's in jail. She hasn't been charged with anything, but she's in jail because they don't know what else to do. They need to be taught. Personally, my opinion, if you're going to be a police officer, you better have some kind of degree or knowledge of psychology. You got to be a social worker too to be a police officer. You got to have an education. You can't just go right out of high school and become a cop. And a 2-year degree, from my standpoint, it's not getting it. You need more than that. You need to be much more thoroughly educated. And you need to do psychological testing on them to make sure that they are the appropriate type of individual to have that job, to have the responsibility that they have. Because they do have the responsibility. They have the ability to kill someone. They have a loaded firearm. And it's like, I really like what Dr. Ritchie says. If you call 911 for anything, you are calling a gun to the scene. Okay, firefighters even. One of the most altruistic professions there is out there is a firefighter. They endanger their own bodies to save other people. They should also have some psychological training, because they're going to get into a situation where there's somebody on the roof of a building trying to commit suicide, trying to jump off. Probably the firefighter's going to be there first. I don't know. They need training. Our society as a whole is not educated enough about the psychology of human beings, about what human beings go through in their heads. What makes them happy? What makes them sad? What makes them angry? What frustrates them with other people? And in some cases, what brings on a mental health issue. It just infuriates me that shit like this goes on. I don't know exactly what the answer is. I have opinions. Like I said, education, further education for police officers, firefighters, paramedics. I mean, they have the medical training that they need for what they do. They should also have some psychological background. Anytime any of those groups, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, anytime they come in contact with someone, that's probably the worst day of that person's life. They need support. They need assistance with what's going on. They do not need to be subdued and beaten. That's not what it should be about. Unfortunately, most times that's what it is about. People end up on the ground, people on top of them, holding them down, forcing their arms behind their backs, or trying to. And if you struggle against that, out of a sense of something's wrong, this shouldn't be happening to me, and you put up a fight, it's going to get worse. They're going to be harder on you. They're going to be rougher. They're going to start beating you. Now, if you're having a mental health crisis, you don't think that. You don't think logically. At that point in your mind, emotion is what's running you. Not logic, not rationality. I don't know. It's not equitable. These people need help. They don't need punishment. Because you're basically what it boils down to. If you do punish them, you're punish them for something over which they have no control. You know, nobody. There are times in your life, everybody's life, where you have no control over what this thing makes this thing do. You know, I don't know. I don't know what to do. If I had a magic wand, or if I could snap my fingers like Thanos did and make things change, I would, if I could. But I can't. But like-minded people need to get together and make some changes. You know, there was this big thing about defund the police. No, don't defund them, but allocate the funds more appropriately. Make sure there's funds for psychological help. And make sure there's training for the police officers and everybody who's involved in that, so that they know how to respond instead of with physical force. Like I say, that's this angry old white man's opinion.